My highlight was the fact that I was born in the Mukesh family. I was very close to my grandmother, so of course a lot of cultural values, a lot of emotional anchoring from a family that one expects is what we got.
What, according to you, is balance and how do you get it?
For a relation to work, you have to sacrifice. I write professionally, I produce, I sing, I compose. I mean, why not? That's the name of the game, is that people should know that I exist. Let art be a part of your life and your system. I stay with my mother, my father, they're 75 plus. I have to take care of them.
Did you feel really demotivated at the time?
100%.
Did you question your choices to
Yes.
be an actor?
No.
What did you question?
I never questioned myself कि as an actor नहीं, never. उसके आगे मैं अपनी ज़िंदगी कुछ सोच ही नहीं सकता. मुझे acting के आगे कुछ समझ ही नहीं आती. The ups and downs, the moments of wanting to just give up. I don't take my failure as seriously as people do.
Neil Nitin Mukesh, son of playback legend Nitin ji and grandson of the iconic Mukesh ji, is a talented actor known for his intense roles and cinematic versatility. Neil has been nominated for several prestigious awards, including Filmfare and IFA, for his powerful performances. Carrying forward a rich musical legacy, he continues to shine in the world of cinema with his unique charm and dedication.
So, can you tell us about your upbringing and how your family background has influenced you to take up this career?
For me, my upbringing has been very, very rooted. You can almost call me low middle class to middle class family. The values that have been instilled by my father, by my mother, are so strong that even today I want to instill the same values in my daughter Nurvi also. From a value system or from the way we look at it, I think we've had a very simple and a very relaxed, normal childhood with my parents around. Of course, we come from such an illustrious background, my father being a big singer, my grandfather being such a big legendary singer himself. But the normalcy of how we were brought up was beautiful. I was very close to my grandmother, so of course a lot of cultural values, a lot of emotional anchoring from a family that one expects is what we got. And I'm glad that that has gone across generations and has come down to my daughter. For me, I was just about 4 years old, of course, very close to my grandmother, like I had mentioned earlier, and I've mentioned this many, many a times. For me, my dadi was very close to my heart. And every weekend we would go and stay with her. I would, Friday, Saturday, get time to spend with her. So I used to see a lot of trophies in her house, my grandfather's. Filmfare trophies, national awards hanging, this, that, etc. Of course, the question used to be, who's won this for what race?
Reason.
No race, because for me, I was
You were
3-year-old.
4. Yeah.
And for me in a school, it was all about a 100-meter race or maybe,
Correct.
something. So she, in fact, introduced that to me, saying, okay, your grandfather, Neil, was a singer. And I had no idea what singer is. I didn't know what playback singing is. So I was just 4 when I did my first film as a child star. I did a film called Vijay with Yash Chopra ji. He was the director. And I played Junior Rishi Kapoor for the first time. I had to lip sync a song called Akkad Bakkad Bombay Bo. My grandfather on screen was Anupam Kher ji. My father on screen was Rajesh Khanna ji. And I was playing Junior Rishi Kapoor. And this was the first time that I had to lip sync. So I learned the song and I was wondering, okay, am I supposed to sing this? And then when Yash uncle said, "Ke beta just hot apne hilao gana galo, but sirf hot hilana." Then it hit me. I said, oh my God, so this is what my grandfather has been doing for Raj uncle. Because I've been seeing Raj Kapoor films.
Yeah.
Or every Friday and Saturday, the condition was that one Raj Kapoor film has to be played on television. We used to have a VCR, just one VCR in the entire house. And of course, it was a privilege to have, a VHS and have some cassettes being
Correct.
sent to us.
Yeah.
So we had the entire, collection of Raj Kapoor films. And we would watch them. I must have seen his films, 100 times over each. And that's what my filming and my schooling, and that's where it all started from me. So I went back running from Windsor Manor Hotel in Bangalore. I went back to Mumbai, went to my grandmom, and I told her now I know what my grandfather does and what my father does. So play a song of his, and I'll lip sync to it, and I'll show you what. And she played Ik Din Bik Jayega, which is one of his most popular songs, and I lip synced to that. And ever since then, there was this magnetic, attraction towards wanting to be a part of films.
Yeah.
Multiple years later, I worked as an assistant. I worked my way up. I did 2 films as a child star. Both became really big films. One was Vijay and one was Jaisi Karni Vaisi Bharni. And right after that, then I worked as an assistant director with Yash Raj Films for about 5.5, 6 years. And finished a film there. Got into acting. Johnny Gaddar, the first film. And yeah, that's how
You never
life
looked
began.
back.
And that's how life began.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, because your grandfather and father are legendary singers, were you ever persuaded to take up singing as well instead of acting?
No, I've had this question being thrown at me gazillion times. But I think more than me, it was my father who kind of figured out that, listen, I think he's cut out to be an actor. Because what happens is, acting is something you can't really, at least I believe in that theory. You can't really go and tell someone, यार ये emotion को emote करो या ऐसे करो ऐसे. It's not a technical skill.
Yeah.
It's something that has to come within. You have to just understand how to emote. You just have to understand how to respond, reciprocate. So for me, acting is probably that. Of course, it's very technical when it comes to executing films, and vis-a-vis lighting, vis-a-vis character, your marking, vis-a-vis responding to your co-actors, etc. Of course, but that's a much later.
Yeah, those are many factors.
Those are
in the
multiple
end.
factors
Yeah.
that come in. So I think my father kind of saw that in me when I did my first film, and he said, "Oh my God, this guy, has something in him and he's attracted to all of this." At 5, when I did Jaisi Karni Vaisi Bharni, and I did my second blockbuster song, which was the title of the film, Jo Boega Wahi Paega, which also then later on my father sings the same song when I grow up into Govinda in the film. I think that's what I think instilled the confidence in him. But he was also very scared because I started getting a lot of offers. And he said, I don't want his attention to be diverted towards films right now. Not a child star.
Too young.
Too young, he'll be too exposed. And back then it used to be, at least back then what? Even now I feel that if you're so exposed throughout your young days, then when you grow up, then people, might not accept you, or maybe they've seen this journey so much of yours that it takes time for them to settle you down as now a main lead.
Correct.
So at least that's what the thought process back then was. So he shied away from allowing me to do a lot more stuff. And then of course I trained myself and I came back in a film where not many people expected me to debut with a film like Johnny Gaddar. The trend and the era was of love stories.
Yeah.
But like I said, I had a lot of people bombarding this question to me that आप तो सिंगर के बेटे हैं ना, आप
So you
तो
should be
सिंगर
a
के पोते हैं, तो
singer,
आपको भी सिंगर होना चाहिए.
Why are you an actor?
तो
Correct.
मेरा ये हमेशा था कि मेरे पिताजी को ये प्रॉब्लम नहीं थी. मेरे दादाजी ने गायकी की, अभिनेता बनना चाह रहे थे, कोशिश की, नहीं कामयाब हुए उसमें. प्रोड्यूसर बने, वहाँ पे भी कोशिश की, नाकामयाब हुए. बट शायद उनकी तकदीर में और उनके जहन में और दिल में लिखा था सिंगर बनना, और इतना बड़ा लेजेंडरी सिंगर
Yes,
बनना.
absolutely.
अगर मुकेश जी, आज अगर हम सिंगर्स की बात करें हिंदुस्तान में, तो मुकेश जी का नाम पहले 4 में तो आता ही है.
Top. Yeah.
So when that happened, and of course, being questioned, my father never questioned me. One thing he mentioned to me always though, he's saying, "K, you are born in the Mukesh family, Neil. At least make sure, in any way possible, whether it's acting, direction, film writing, producing, whatever, let art be a part of your life and your system."
Yeah.
And I feel that, filmmaking has so many multiple aspects. You
Absolutely.
can't. I don't see myself just saying, okay, now I'm just an actor, so I'll only act. I write, I write professionally. I produce. My younger brother is a director, and so I sing, I compose. I mean, why not? I mean, it's such a beautiful
Yeah, I think there's so many
field to
elements
have. Yeah,
that are required to put a movie together.
yeah.
And if
S-
you have art in your DNA, you know, you
So,
do.
I mean, I don't see myself doing anything else. I'm not going to lie. I can't lie and say, अच्छा एक्टर नहीं होता तो शायद एक ही बिजनेसमैन होता. मैं नहीं सोच ही नहीं सकता.
Yeah.
कोविड के 2 साल में बहुत सारे आइडियाज़ आए थे कि अच्छा ये कर लूँ वो कर लूँ, कोई फिल्म तो बन नहीं रही अभी. We are not allowed to go back on set right now. What am I supposed to do? Okay, I think I have it in me to cut out and be a great businessman, which I do. I'm educated enough to do that also. But at the same time, I said, no, yeah, I can't. I'm unless
That's
there's
not
no
where the
passion.
passion, yeah.
Unless, like for example, I see myself being very attracted to interiors. Like if I say, if not filmmaking, then what? Maybe architecture. I'm a commercial arts student also. So because of that, I have this knack of wanting to do home decor, home interiors, etc. But that is again like filmmaking. You visualize something
Yeah.
and then you execute it.
That is
and
another form of art.
Correct?
Yeah.
So some form or the other of art has to be in my system, otherwise it'll get suffocating. Yeah.
So yeah, I think creative people chase creative lines, whichever aspect it may be. So when you come from a creative background, singing requires a lot of creative skills, right? You need to be sure of your art. So I think any art form is what would attract you in the end. So tell us, you're married,
Right.
right? How many years has it been?
It's been 8 years. I just celebrated my 8th anniversary.
Amazing, that's beautiful. Can you tell us what are the most important factors for a successful marriage, according to you?
Compatibility. I think most important for me is compatibility. Love, of course, like they say, but love can always grow and happen. Like mine is a purely arranged marriage. We weren't in love before. We hadn't even met. We met for half an hour and we were decided to get married. So, what in these 8 years, why my love for Rukmini has grown and how it's grown, there have been multiple reasons for that. Fantastic mother, brilliant daughter-in-law, outstanding wife, no complaints on any front. But I think one thing that we both realize that keeps the marriage going and can make it stronger is just the basic understanding of each other. Compatibility is not necessarily that I need my space, you go in that room, I go in that room. Not necessarily. But even if you are confined in one small area, whether you really respect each other's not just sentiments but boundaries,
Yeah.
likes, dislikes. Like I have a very bad habit. I'll come back home at 4 in the morning after a very late day of shoot, but I need half an hour TV time. I need that. Whether it's 15 minutes, it knocks me out. I do that even now. And I know that this girl has been tired all through the day, handling Nurvi, her school, her daily chores, etc. I know she's really tired, but I've never heard her complain about me putting on the television. But when she doesn't complain, is where I feel guilty and I say, oh God, yeah, she's probably more tired than I am. She needs this. I'll switch it off. So I think that understanding of silences
Yeah.
without really fighting for it is what really makes any relationship go from just where it is to way beyond. Sacrifice is, I think, one very strong key element for any relationship to sustain.
Would you
and-
call it sacrifice or would you call it selfless love?
So, like I said, see, selfless love is completely different. But why I'm emphasizing on the word sacrifice is because, of course, love is great. It feels nice, but it's not always practical, right?
Right.
Like you're not going to always approach a relationship saying, "Oh God, I'm in love with him. Forget it. I'll do everything." No, it doesn't really happen like that.
No.
In the real world, love will take you, of course. Like I love my mother, I love my father, I love my daughter. But I can also get irritated at times if there's a lot of noise. I love my pet, Maxi. He's my son. He's literally, I call him my elder, child. But if I come home and I'm really tired and he's barking away at me, I'll be like, huh? like, can I get my space a little? So you need, sometimes every human being needs his space. Unfortunately, the word is used.
Yeah.
But at that point, what happens is, can I be selfish and say, okay, no, Max, you're barking at me because now I'm getting irritated, get out of the room. No, maybe he's wanting my attention too.
Yeah.
So my sacrifice is my irritation at that point of time and give him that 5 minutes attention that he's not craving for or demanding for, but he deserves.
Yeah.
You know. Similarly, if I come back home on a weekend and my daughter wants to plonk herself in my bed in the middle of my wife and me, and I've come back maybe after a big trip and a long trip, I want to spend some quality time with my wife. But doesn't mean that I'm going to
Take
not
away,
let Nurvi, be there. So for me, these are my sacrifices, which is not just about selfless. अगर होता, तो मैं कहता हाँ यार, ये मेरी जगह है, ये आपकी जगह है. I'm not going to kind of overstep it. So selflessness, of course, does come in. You can't be selfish in any relationship for sure. That's a given. But as human beings, you do tend to become a little selfish. So I can't lie. Like, I can't lie. I am very selfish. I'm sure Rukmini from her aspect would be selfish at some point.
Everyone is.
Everybody is.
Even wanting love is selfish.
Exactly. I can't be hypocritical about it and just pose a nice question and answer round out here and say, yeah, it's all about selflessness. नहीं होता. Relationship इस चीज़ पे आधारित है ही नहीं. So you need to understand that what it is. And I feel that it's always been sacrifice. For a relation to work, you have to sacrifice.
Yeah.
There are many a times that happens that, couples stray a little. It's very easy to just put your hands up and say, I can't do this. No. For any relationship to work, there has to be a little sacrifice and say, today's generation is so fickle.
Yeah.
Divorce has become so rampant. Like, it's become the new norm. It's like, yeah, hey, what's up? How's it going? Congrats, you just got married. What? I just got divorced. It's like as casual.
Yeah.
And I feel so sad. Okay, it's not like fights don't happen. Of course, if two people are staying in one bedroom day in and day out, some kind of irritability will kick in.
Yeah,
There are so many reasons. Yeah.
Unless the divorce is really for a very serious reason, like it was toxic, abusive, whichever
Any
it
of
was.
that, of course. I understand.
But yeah, you're right. Now, casually, people don't want to accept each other.
No, it's listen, toxic, etc. in a love marriage, and you're having a divorce within 6-8 months of your wedding. Okay, hadn't you seen this?
Yeah. Didn't you know the person?
Didn't you know the person? So I'm saying, I'm not being judgmental about it. Of course, each one has their own reasons for something not to work. Unfortunately, I've seen that very close from many aspects within my family also, and I respect it. It's not like I'm being judgmental and I'm not respecting someone's reason for them not to be with someone. But sometimes I say, okay, did we even try? I mean, I understand, a certain aspect that, oh God, I couldn't. I tried for multiple years and, of course, move on. But it's now become fashion.
Yeah.
It's
a fad. It's okay to walk away without trying.
No, now the term of divorce is so thrown so casually. Like, listen, I don't care. If it's not working, I'm going to divorce him. Hello? It doesn't work like that. I mean, why? Like, there are times that I'm human. I do get harrowed.
Yeah.
I need my space. I'm doing my lines. I'm writing. I'm doing something. I'm an artist. I come back home dead tired. My timings are so off. Sometimes I'm shooting all through the day. Sometimes I'm shooting all through the night.
Yeah.
So I come back. All I expect at times, but sometimes it doesn't. I can't not understand it. I stay in a joint family. I stay with my mother, my father. They're 75 plus.
Yeah.
I have to take care of them. My mother, my wife, my daughter, my brother, his wife, we are all in one home with Maxi and staff. So you can imagine how tight a joint family we are.
Yeah.
I can't be what my father is because he's like the epitome of perfectness in every way. But his life has been nothing but sacrifice, struggle, and of course he's learned from it. And now, after all these years, one calls him so selfless because for him it's never been about anybody else but his family.
His family.
Means I know I've seen my childhood, and I've seen his struggle. Illustrious name, big name, Mukesh ji, legendary name.
Yeah.
But bank balance was nothing when my father started off. Even though Mukesh ji was such a big singer, there was not a home in his name. Back then, people never used to invest in properties, and
yeah.
they used to, just go on. But how he bought his first home, how we have seen literally every piece of furniture coming into our home. I still remember that. Of sleeping from gaddas, with no furniture in the hall, to actually my mother getting one set and saying, you know what, for Diwali we've got a dining table. That used to be exciting. I think maybe that's the reason why I like interiors so much, because I've grown up with my mom decorating the home. Every Diwali there used to be excitement that something is going to happen. And if my father would travel abroad, she would maybe pick up one room and save some money through the year and say, okay, you know what, now the kids need a bigger bed. Maybe we'll get them a bigger bed, a writing table, a study table. So we've gone through that journey.
That's beautiful. I don't think people would know, because what happens is this name association, right?
Right.
And there's always that impression that this is how it seems, so this is how it is.
Right.
But you're very correct in saying your name, your family name has always been so big
Yeah.
that people wouldn't know
No one would
how
know this.
humble your beginnings
Right.
were as a child, and how that has shaped you and kept you so grounded.
Right.
Because most people think illustrious background means the upbringing was very flashy, the words like nepotism come in. It's a given that you've grown up with everything possible, everything
laugh
at your
at it.
disposal. Yeah, but no one really knows that every child, every human being, in their own respect, has so many mental challenges while
Yeah.
growing up, whether famous or not, whether illustrious or not, whether rich or not. People have all these boxes that they put you in. If you come from a well-off background, you had everything at your disposal, what are you crying about? If you came from a successful family, you had everything at your disposal, what are you crying about?
Correct.
So can you tell us, according to you, seeing all of this, and today you come across as a very balanced person, what according to you is balance, and how do you get it?
Well, now that's quite deep without sounding preachy. I think prioritize your life. It's just as simple as that. One has to, my father, when I was growing up, I keep getting him back in the picture because for me, he's my hero. And of course, I try and emulate a lot of him in me, and
We all do.
we all do.
Yeah.
And for all of us, our fathers are
Fathers and mothers
our
are role
mothers
models.
all
You're
always.
right.
Like my mom is my biggest anchor and my biggest
I'm
strength.
sure. Biggest support.
Like you have no idea. Like I'm very close to her. In fact, I have travel phobia at times, and most of the time I'm seeing, okay, she's traveling with me, just like that. Like I'll force her to travel with me. But coming back to what you asked, I feel balance is most important when you prioritize, and it happens when you prioritize life. It's simple, like I was saying, my father taught me this, that as a tree grows big and starts bearing fruits, that's how much more it bows down to the earth. So when you start really becoming big in life, or maybe start making money or whatever you
Yeah.
call it, famous.
The
blah,
more
blah, blah.
impact you have.
The more impact you have with people around, and I think arrogance should not be there. You should just become humble about it. So, for me, I think the way we balanced ourselves is, okay, never be content, because if you're content, that's it. It's over.
Yeah.
So I'm not a content human being at all. Like I want to wake up the next morning and say, now what?
Yeah.
What next? I have to set myself with goals. But at the same time, I have to understand कि ये किस किस्म का गोल है, कि ये मटीरियलिस्टिक गोल है मेरा, या मैं अपने परिवार की खुशी के लिए ये करना चाह रहा हूँ, या मैं अपने क्राफ्ट को आगे बढ़ाने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ. तो ये किस लेवल का की चाहत है, का वांट है, और इसके लिए मैं कितना आगे बढ़ूंगा, क्या करूंगा, क्या त्याग करूंगा, क्या, so it's that more than okay, oh God, this guy's got this car, so I want this car. It's not that. For me,
Yeah.
it's never been that. I don't mind moving around in a BST bus. Even today, all my life, I've done that. Our country has developed so well right now. We have metro stations. We have such great transport infrastructure is amazing. Why not? You know. Uh, so I don't shy and say, okay, oh God, what are people going to think about? What am I wearing today? Are they going to judge me? No, I have never been that because I've seen my father like that, and he has seen his father like that. So there was a small anecdote I'd love to share with you. Maybe I think somewhere when he told me this at a very young age, it kind of stayed back, and that's been like a, like a foundation to my building my upbringing, uh, my ideology. So he was in college, and my grandfather had bought himself a Fiat for the first time. He had bought himself a car because, of course, it was a privilege to have a car back then.
Correct.
And the car would get out maybe once in 10 days and maybe, be covered throughout maybe months at end. But now my father was a college going man, and he used to have friends, and he had learned driving, and so he had a car parked down. And one day, coincidentally, my grandfather had decided that he'd probably use the car because he had to go somewhere important for one of his film recordings, etc., and post that for an event. And my father told him once that, listen, Dad, I need the car. He said, yeah, here are the keys. So he got ready. He's on his way out in the car, and he sees my grandfather at a bus stop waiting for a BST bus.
Wow.
So he stopped the car and he said, why didn't you tell me that you have to go someplace?
Yeah.
He's saying, no, you needed the car, and I thought maybe it's more important for you. For me, it doesn't really matter. I just need to go from one place to another. And the bus stop was jam-packed with people wanting to just have a, look at him.
Yeah.
And, so he was a legend.
Yeah, he was a legend.
So he's saying that day I realized that I have a father who's not at all attracted to materialistic things, And he's saying, for me that day, nothing else mattered. He said the journey mattered, not the way, not the instrument that's taking me up there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you've had a successful career in Bollywood. Could you share some of the highlights and turning points for you?
Well, I think my highlight was the fact that I was born in the Mukesh family. I think that's the biggest highlight of my life. The second highlight was when I realized why my father calls him with his father's name attached, Nitin Mukesh. And I realized that how a son has dedicated his entire life to his father's existence and to keep his memory alive. So when I decided that I wanted to be an actor and I wanted to move forward, I decided to use my father's and my grandfather's name with my name to keep their memory alive, So I think that was a very big highlight point where I was so happy and proud of the fact that I'm going to be doing this. Of course, I didn't have the chance, and I didn't know when that chance would come by. The other highlight was, of course, at the age of 4, doing a film, and all your school kids know you because you've done a film.
Correct.
The other highlight, of course, was again doing a blockbuster film like Jaisi Karni Vaisi Bharni, and now not just the school but the world is talking about you, and India is going crazy with this child star moving around, and so I used to get a lot of attention, not just of course first being my grandfather's grandchild, then my father, and then of course now with this film. But my biggest highlight was when I got the opportunity of working with the Ashnas films as an assistant. I now knew that I'm on the right track, and I had to learn filmmaking and understand acting. This was my one chance. At the age of 13, my father told me, he came knocking on the door and he said, listen, I can see that you've gained a little weight. I'm like, okay, I'm 13. What's the big deal? What happened? where's this conversation coming from? And he's like, I'm just telling you. I mean, your bua was saying that, you're. He's saying, I'm sorry, but, as a father, I'm just wanting to tell you that you can see me, I'm not physically as fit as what others should be. You want to be an actor. You can't afford to do this. Then he said that I have an elder daughter. I have to get her married. And now you have a younger brother who's 10 years younger than you, whose education is on my head too. I'll have to bring him up. I'm not going to be able to produce your film. So whatever it is, it's completely on you.
Wow.
And I was like, I thought you were going to really help me.
Yeah, people would assume that you have
start
that backing.
Yeah. He said, no, I can't do anything. He's saying, you're born in the family. You have our name to use, but that's it. So at 13, I realized, I went and saw myself in the mirror and I said, okay, am I chubby? Okay. Am I supposed to be physically fit? Yes, I'm supposed to, because this is the career that we've all chosen to be a part of, and it's got its own demands and sacrifices again. So I said, all right. I sat back. Now there are two ways to have taken it. Either I would have said, you know what, my father hasn't given me a chance, forget it. But he said, listen, no one's going to come knocking on a door at Nepean Road on the first floor saying, okay, there's a guy called Neil who wants to be an actor.
Correct.
You got to get out there and make people realize that you exist. Oh my God, that was like a revelation for me. I said, shit, that's the name of the game. Is that people should know that I exist. It all started for me there. And till date, it's been 30 years, I'm 43. Even now, I try to reach out to people for work, even if I have to. I make it a point when I'm not shooting, I have a gap month. My entire effort goes in, reaching out to people who I want to work with like-minded directors, writers, casting directors, etc., only to make them realize that I exist. And I think that's how it's supposed to be. So, at 13, when he said that, I started training very hard. I started going to this garden called PDP, Priyadarshini Park, which is in town. Started running. I lost a lot of weight.
I can't imagine you were a chubby kid.
Never.
I just can't picture it.
So I wasn't as chubby, but it was just a father's fear, maybe.
Yeah.
And
all parents
guiding.
want the best in their kids.
And guidance, And I respect him for that. I love him for that. If he hadn't, maybe it wouldn't have hit me. Maybe I wouldn't have taken it so seriously.
And maybe you would have had struggles later.
Not just from a physical aspect of it.
From mental also.
From my just taking life casually and taking it for granted, कि शायद हो जाएगा. No. So from then itself, I started working towards now my career track. So then, of course, I started working really early as an assistant. And I was really mapped out. I was very well meticulously planned out. Like, okay, by 15 I should be an AD or in college, and I should start hunting a job. Okay, by 16 or 17 I should get a job as an AD. I should work for the next 3-4 years. Because by 21 or 22, back then we never had social media.
Yeah, we didn't.
We didn't have platforms to showcase our talent.
We didn't.
Nobody knew how to even connect to you.
Yes.
There was no DM.
No.
There was no profiling happening. I had to go to every door, knock on every door and say, Namaste, this is my portfolio, I exist. I had to go to every producer, even if I didn't know who they were by face, because we never knew we would know names. We wouldn't know that these producers, what they look like.
What were the emotional challenges that you faced because of that?
Yes, so there was a lot of times where it's inevitable. The ups and downs, the moments of wanting to just give up is inevitable. But that's what life is all about. Struggle is a part of it.
No, I mean it like coming from a privileged name, but at the same time, not having the privilege to just walk onto a set and have a movie ready for you and have a producer backing you. I'm sure there has to be emotional challenges, because what happens is we all know our reality, right? So if today I know that I am doing this podcast and my family is supporting me, I walk into it very, very different mindset. But if I know that no one's helping me do this, and this is I'm on my own, and I
Right.
gotta make it, and I gotta make sure I'm successful at it because I'm the only one backing it. It's a different mindset,
For
and
sure.
that brings different challenges to it.
For sure.
So what were your challenges, knowing
So-
that I'm not walking into this with everybody hand holding me?
So, till the time I didn't land my first film, I didn't let anything affect me. I said, I can't afford to have any kind of fear.
Yeah.
I can't afford to have any kind of panics on the front कि मेरा कुछ होने वाला है कि नहीं. मेरे पास choice ही नहीं है.
Correct.
मेरे पास choice ही नहीं थी. मुझे करना ही है. मेरे पास ऑलरेडी चैलेंज ये है कि मैं मुकेश जी का पोता हूँ, वो सिंगर थे. मेरे पिताजी का बेटा हूँ, वो सिंगर हैं. वैसे ही लोग मुझे डाउट कर रहे हैं कि ये बंदा एक्ट कर पाएगा कि नहीं कर पाएगा. इसकी हिंदी अच्छी है कि नहीं है. दिखता फिरंगी है. अंग्रेज़ का बच्चा दिखता है. तो ये सारी चैलेंजेस बहुत सारी थी. अरे अंग्रेज़ का बच्चा दिखता है, हिंदी फिल्म में कर पाएगा कि नहीं, वो भी एक चैलेंज था.
Yeah, will the
So
audience
all,
relate to him?
oh yes, all these were my handicaps which I made into my positives. And knowing very consciously that okay, अगर मैंने लव स्टोरी की तो शायद एक ही मौका मिलेगा. बट अगर मैंने कोई ऐसी अतरंगी फिल्मिंग कर ली जिसमें शायद अपने एक्टिंग चॉप्स को मैं दिखा पाऊँ, तो शायद लोग कहेंगे हाँ यार ये बंदा कम से कम एक्ट तो अच्छा कर लेता है. तो जॉनी गद्दार was the kind of film that I wanted to do. I got 2 films at the same day, at the same time, by the same producer, and he said, take your pick. All this has taught me is that it's not like I don't have a, like coming back to what you had asked initially, कि when was it that you really felt? My lowest point of my life was, and where I felt a little कि ये क्यों हो रहा है, ये ऐसा क्या है, यानी निवाला उतर नहीं रहा है गले से यार. And that was when Johnny Gaddar was stuck. Okay, I had great faith in not just the team and the film, of course, they were all baps. I said, भगवान ने मौका दिया, अब ये फिल्म अटक गई. 2.5 साल फिल्म अटकी पड़ी है, और उस समय तो वाकई में फिल्म अगर अटक गई होती तो रिलीज करने का मौका ही नहीं मिलता. I've had legends who I've worked under also, and you know who are associated with and pioneers of this industry tell me throw it in a dustbin and burn the film. Literally, these are the words. अटकी हुई फिल्म कभी नहीं आती.
Did you feel really demotivated at the time?
100%.
Did you question your choices
Yes.
to be an actor?
No. Never.
What did you question?
I never questioned myself कि as an actor नहीं. Never. क्योंकि वो उसके आगे मैं अपनी ज़िंदगी कुछ सोच ही नहीं सकता. मुझे एक्टिंग के आगे कुछ समझ ही नहीं आती बात. तो मेरा वो नहीं था कि कैन I shouldn't have been an actor. Never. My thing was that why is everything so interconnected I mean, it's like a domino effect, right?
It is.
Like, I was not just upset with me having faith in myself. I was upset that how is it that no one else is seeing this? Why is it that I'm not getting that chance?
Yeah.
Why is it that someone else is not wanting to back my passion? And I feel that even now. Every time I've finished a film and I'm waiting for my next film and I'm struggling to get my next offer, I feel that even now because I still have that hunger in me. But that made me realize that, Neil, that's so good. Keep that hunger alive. अगर वो भूख मिट गई, अगर आप कंटेंट हो गए, खत्म वहीं पे कहानी.
Correct.
For me, that was my biggest low when I heard things like burn the film, it's not going to release, what the hell, etc. Like I said, ups and downs, success, failure is inevitable in every journey.
Yes.
Every vocation, every journey, every profession. It's just how you deal with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's how
in
you
the end,
deal with
it is about how you deal with it, because
I don't take my failure as seriously as people do. I sit back and I'm laughing. Okay, I'm not affected about it. Why are you being judgmental?
have you ever experienced burnout or depression?
Yes. Yeah.
How did you cope with it?
So, of course, there was not work related, but there was more of a personal incident that triggered an episode in my life. Of course, I was burnt out because of work happening parallelly and not being able to give my mental health or my physical health time to cope up with what I was facing emotionally. Went through it. Of course, it shook me a little. Kind of grounded me. But I can't tell you this more clearly. There's nothing better than family at around this point of your life. For me, my family was my biggest support system, my biggest anchor, and they really got me out of this. So for me, that take away from all of these episodes in my life was that there has to be some kind of system around you, and that's why we keep talking about family, values, sacrifices, selflessness, mental health, blah, blah, blah. Mental health also is something that's inevitable. People go through it.
Yeah,
you know?
we all go through ups and downs.
It's just how you have people who've probably experienced it themselves or somebody who can take you out of it being there with you at that point of time.
Did you ever see a mental health specialist in any capacity?
No, I didn't, because for me, what I learned at a very young age was to voice my feelings and be vocal about it
Within family.
within family. And I continue to do so.
That itself is healing.
If I have gas pain, I'll create chaos out here, you know. So forget that. So yeah, I did have a phase where I thought maybe it would be nice to talk to someone, but if I didn't have anyone to, I had my mother, I had my father, I had my sister, I had my brother, and luckily they all listened to me. They continue to do so. My brother gets irritated whenever I have one complaint. He's like, calm down now. You're 43 now, stop ranting about your complaints. But I mean, maybe
He's younger to you, but he's the balancing factor.
yeah, he's 10 years younger than me. He's way more mature than I am. I think my daughter's also more mature than I am.
No, I wouldn't agree.
I'm telling you, Nurvi is a mature kid.
So tell me-
somewhere in me, I still have a 5-year-old still in me. Yeah.
I think it's best to keep the child alive.
Oh my God, you have no idea. I'm exactly like that.
Yeah, I think it's best to keep the child
Yeah,
alive
yeah.
within, you know.
Yeah.
So tell me, what was the biggest advantage of coming from a legacy family, and what is the biggest disadvantage in your case?
Huh. It's quite ironic. In fact, it's also I'm going to contradict what I say, because the biggest factor with me that came as an advantage also was my biggest disadvantage. I got to knock a lot of doors, and the questioning of whether those doors would be answered or opened was also a challenge. I'll elaborate on that front. Mukesh's grandson, of course, Nitin Mukesh's son. Why not? Let's meet him.
Yeah, people will give you the time.
Give me the chance at least to listen. Oh, आप मुकेश जी के पोते हैं, प्लीज आइए ना. बट उसके आगे इट वुड बी, अरे मुकेश जी तो सिंगर थे, नितिन मुकेश जी तो सिंगर है, आप एक्टर क्यों बनना चाह रहे हैं?
So that's the
तो
disadvantage.
वो भी एक बहुत बड़ा डिसएडवांटेज था. फिर क्योंकि यहाँ पे what happens is like an audience gets very trained with wanting to see, अच्छा हाँ नहीं यार, मुकेश जी का पोता है तो शायद मुकेश जी इतने बड़े गायक थे, नितिन मुकेश जी इतने बड़े गायक हैं, तो शायद बेटा भी वही करना. I don't know why does that still exist, but people are like that, ना, कि डॉक्टर का बेटा है तो डॉक्टर ही बनेगा. So you're going to become a doctor? Why can't he be an artist or a guitarist? I'm just asking.
Yeah.
है ना, कि अगर मेरी अब बेटी है तो आप मेरे खुद के दोस्त आके पूछते हैं, so you want to be an actor when you grow? Why? I mean, she could grow up to be, I don't know, anything that she wants.
Yeah, she
Maybe a
could be a
dentist.
computer
yeah,
engineer, yeah.
She could be a dentist or whatever she wants to be. Why just this? So of course I got that as a lot of that was like a big setback. कि अच्छा ये कर पाएगा क्या? ये एक क्वेश्चन, एक प्रश्न चिन्ह होता है ना, जो बहुत बड़ा लोगों के दिमाग में होता है. और आज भी है कि ये कर पाएगा नहीं कर पाएगा. आप प्रोड्यूसर के बेटे हैं तो कर पाओगे शायद, क्योंकि आप फिल्म मेकिंग जानते हैं. आप एक्टर के बेटे हैं तो 110% आप में तो होगा ही, क्योंकि आप एक्टर के बेटे हैं और ऑडियंस शायद ये ट्रेंड है. बट आप सिंगर के बेटे हैं तो वो ट्रांजिशन करने में थोड़ा मुश्किल, कन्विंस लोगों को करना मुश्किल हुआ था थोड़ा. तो वो एक बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज था. और बट आज भी चैलेंज है, क्योंकि हर फिल्म के साथ वापस अपने आप को प्रूव करना पड़ता है. आपकी एक फिल्म आई अच्छी की तो चलो आपको शायद.
But I think that's everyone. I think today's audience has become very aware of talent, skill compared to names, which was 20 years ago. So 20 years ago, I think the industry
नहीं,
was...
आज का चैलेंज अलग है. आज का चैलेंज है कि आपके इंस्टाग्राम पे फॉलोअर्स कितने हैं, है ना.
No, you're talking from maybe being cast. But as far as audience is concerned, today a movie like Lapata Ladies was massive. I don't know who the names. I still don't know the names, but I watched the movie. It's a beautiful
but
movie.
the opportunity.
Yeah, you know, I think the industry is changing. I think it will change because the audience is changing.
It is. No, we've seen a lot of change happening, and especially me. I've seen a lot of change from the real era to the digital era, from single screens to multiplexes to now OTT.
Yeah.
So I have seen that journey and that transition. But of course, like I said, no complaint, because I've been given multiple opportunities and I've done multiple of these kind of films, and especially of the genre that you just spoke of. But I'm still saying that then I'm not talking just about myself. I'm also talking in general, that we have a preconceived notion of how we want to maybe see somebody.
Yeah, of course.
Like I said, हर आदमी को उस मौके की तलाश है. आप मौका देंगे तो वो करके प्रूव करेगा ना.
How have you dealt with disappointments and failures? Personally, on a personal level, do you have a form of workout that helps you cope with it? Do you meditate? Do you travel? How do you handle that kind of downside?
So, my life and my career has been nothing but a struggle, and the audience by now would have understood that with our conversation, the way I've reiterated practically every moment of my life. But that kind of taught me and grounded me very early. I never took success and failure in my head at all. Never. Success also, at the same time, I never take it seriously. People around me, I've seen them change rather than myself. But the only way to actually kind of overcome that is move on. Move on to the next. Move on with this hope. So for me, I've always kept hope alive. कि हाँ यार, अब नहीं तो शायद कुछ और होने वाला है. इस उम्मीद के साथ मैं जी लेता हूँ कि अब नहीं, शायद कोई स्क्रिप्ट ये वाली नहीं मिली. बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि यार आपको कहानी अच्छी लगती है, डायरेक्टर अच्छा है, सब कुछ अच्छा है, प्लेटफॉर्म कहता है नहीं यार किसी और को ले लो. होता है ना. बहुत बार झेल चुका हूँ वो भी. और बहुत बार ऐसा भी हुआ है कि यार सब कुछ अच्छे हैं, आंकड़े सही गिर रहे हैं, बट मुझे नहीं करनी. ऐसा भी तो होता है. आप सिर्फ इस उम्मीद के साथ जी सकते हैं कि कुछ होने वाला है, आगे होगा. So that for me has been the biggest hope. Yes, discipline. The moment I see that something is not steering my way and I have time, I use that time not as, an excuse to let myself go.
Yeah.
बहुत लोगों को मैंने देखा है कि नहीं हो रहा यार भाई, excuse बना लेते हैं कि यार I don't know यार, they'll start blaming यार, COVID has happened, struggles happening, people are not problems with you. So I have that acceptance.
Yeah.
Number one, hope, great. But I also do accept my current situation. Agar I don't live in a false bubble.
So we've had such a great insightful conversation into your journey, into your humble beginnings and where you are as a human being, you found balance after all the highs and lows, which is amazing to see at such a young age. A lot of people are bitter about life after all of this, and I see so much positivity, which is great to see.
Thank you.
So let's end this on a fun, lightning note.
Looking forward to dying.
Tell me, what is the most hilarious and embarrassing thing that's happened to you on set?
The most embarrassing thing that probably has happened to me on a set is forget my lines. Because as an actor, I think that's the only one discipline that you should go with on set, not for yourself, but for your co actors. You should have the respect of at least remembering your lines.
So, if you could teleport to any place right now for a mental reset, where would it be?
Oh, wow, yeah. Oh, the beaches. So I'm just thinking which beach? I don't know.
I think the better question would be, would it be alone or would it be with your wife?
So for a mental reset, maybe alone. Sorry, Rukmini, I don't mean any this thing, but sometimes it's nice to spend some alone time and reevaluate, life in general, get a perspective of how you want to handle,
Agreed.
multiple aspects of it.
If you weren't an actor, what alternate career would you pursue?
I mentioned this earlier. If I wasn't an actor, and if I had no other choice in any vocation of filmmaking, whether it was acting,
Yeah.
direction, writing, definitely I would want to be an architect or maybe an interior decorator, interiors, etc.
If your mind were a movie genre, what would it be and why?
Oh boy, now that's a dark one. If my mind was a movie genre, would be a love story, for sure. I still catch myself seeing a lot of chick flicks.
Really? Which is your favorite one?
Maybe a Notting Hill is something. Pretty
That's
Woman.
my favorite too.
Notting Hill, Pretty Woman, Julia Roberts. So those are my kind of kind of films. Yeah.
What would be your one advice to upcoming actors in terms of the realities of the industry and the realities of life?
Everyone's become very serious in life about, I am an actor, so I have to behave in a certain way. I have to be relaxed, be calm, relax. Don't take yourself so seriously. People around you aren't. That's one thing. Secondly, concentrate on the craft. The craft is something that I've seen that's kind of fizzling out. We're living in this superficial bubble of maybe a PR strategical game of boasting of our existence, and so I feel somewhere that is something that I feel a few who truly deserve it aren't getting that, and a few who are getting it maybe need to work a little harder and respect the fact that they're getting it. Yeah, maybe.
Thank you so much, Neil. It's been an
Thanks.
absolute
Thank you,
pleasure
Ashna.
having
Thank you so much.
And I hope people who are aspiring to be in this industry get the right message after hearing.
Thank you.